Welcome. In front of me is a OPPO A6 Pro, and today I will show you how you can enable and also set up your portable hotspot. So to get started, swipe down from the top right side of the screen like this, and this will show you all the toggles that are added by default. Now we are looking for the hotspot toggle, which isn't visible on the first page. Let's see on the second one. It's on the second one. Now, if you don't see your hotspot toggle on either page, this might mean that you need to add it yourself. And you can do so by clicking right here on this pencil. When you click on it, it will show you all the toggles right here that are added. And then below here on this side scrollable page, you can add additional ones to the list. So these are all the ones that are not added. And you would look for the hotspot one. When you see it, you just click on it and you can see it gets automatically added. Click on done and this saves the change, and you should be able to see this toggle somewhere. So now finding the hotspot toggle again, you want to hold it in here and then select more settings. And I recommend navigating to the hotspot settings right here and starting off with, actually the phone starts off with this on its own, which is pretty nice, the password. So I didn't actually select it, the phone does this for me, selects the password. It is a randomly generated one, and when it comes down to Oppo, they have this kind of weird way of doing 4 random letters and 4 random numbers, exclusively in this kind of order. So it's already a little bit easier to remember this crap rather than the typical jumbled mess of letters and numbers, but I still recommend just straight up getting rid of this and setting up your own new password, which can be as simple as 1 through 8 numbers as an example, or letters, it doesn't really matter. Now, my brain is as smooth as a beach ball, so I prefer to have a very simple hotspot password, so I remember what it is without, and this obviously prevents me from needing to go here and need to check it, so that's pretty good. And because it's a hotspot, it doesn't really matter how secure your password is. Like, your hotspot will primarily be off when you're not using it, so the times where you are, it won't be like, every single day probably. It won't be for prolonged periods of time, so your strength of the password does not really matter that much. Now anyway, in here we also have options like AP bands, so we have 2.4 gigahertz and 5. Now we have a quick little explanation, so it's more compatible, or the other one is fast. Now that's all nice and dandy. Right here the explanation, it's a very simplified explanation, and for the purposes of a hotspot, actually it is kind of stupid explanation. It's honestly counterproductive to what people might be looking for. So going into the explanation right here, because this might save some of your asses, 2.4 gigahertz is going to be the more compatible one. Sure, it's older one, which is used by basically every device that has any kind of Wi-Fi connectivity. Now the 5 gigahertz connectivity is going to be faster, more stable, and support more devices connected at the same time. At least the connection itself does. Not sure if the phone does, but in any case, those are the benefits. Now the downside is 5 gigahertz. If whatever device you're trying to connect to this hotspot with does not support 5 gigahertz, which if you select this, your phone will be broadcasting the signal, then that device that you're trying to connect to this hotspot here just simply will not see this hotspot, which obviously it's counterproductive to a hotspot. So that's one thing. Another one that I want to mention is cool, it's fast. That's the stupidest way to look at it. It's a mobile network. You don't give two shits on how fast it is. You're not going to be pushing the 2.4 gigahertz network to its limit with the mobile network, at least probably not for another 1 to 2 decades, I would say. Right now, my phone with a pretty decent network has whopping 30 megabits per second. I get 20 times more at home, 600, yay! And for my 600, I do have a 5 gigahertz network, and that's pretty good, but I could also use the 2.4 and probably not see that much of a difference, all things like being considered realistically. On top of that, the thing that will matter here that isn't mentioned is that if you live in a very crowded, dense areas, maybe New York City, and there's a shit ton of 2.4 gigahertz networks around with hella lot of different devices connected to it, you will see some problems. So you might have some connectivity problems where you struggle to connect to your hotspot or disconnects you, or just generally it will be a shit show for you. In these cases, what it is basically an interference from other 2.4 Wi-Fi signals, and the device just kind of struggles to figure out what the hell is happening. There's way too much shit happening in this kind of frequency, and it just can't really sift through it. It can't like know which is which. There's too much garbage, basically. So by changing it to the 5 gigahertz, you are using now one could say a little bit less used frequency. And that one will be a little bit more open. And even if it's not, the 5 gigahertz just works in a way that basically allows for more devices and just kind of better user experience. It kind of tries to solve the problem of the 2.4. So if you live in a very dense area, like I said, New York City, you might want to switch to the 5 gigahertz. But that being said, again, this falls apart altogether if the device that you're trying to connect to this with does not support the 5 gigahertz. So in this case, you're just kind of shit out of luck and you need to use the 2.4. Another option in here is the hide hotspot. You can use that if you want to. I don't recommend. This would mean that you need to manually type in the full name that you can see right here, along with the password, all needing to be correct and exactly the same. And if you miss one little thing, yeah, you ain't connecting to shit. So keep that in mind. I like to keep that off just so I don't need to do this manually. I can find my network from the list. And anyway, when you change any settings in here, just make sure you always click on the save to obviously save the changes. And from there, find the toggle and simply tap on it to turn it on. And it also tells you how many devices are connected right here, which is pretty nice. Additionally, if we go back into the settings and we go into, oh, there we go. It's right here. Automatically turn off personal hotspot. Automatically turn it off, this hotspot, when no device are connected for 10 minutes. This option is enabled by default, and this will get you, actually, this is a nice kind of quality of life. So when you're done using it, and for instance you move on but forget to turn off the hotspot, your device will start the counter 10 minutes, at which point it's going to automatically turn it off on its own, which is a nice thing I would say to have enabled. I don't recommend turning that off, but if you have some kind of problems where your hotspot turns off for no freaking reason, you might want to look into this and maybe turn it off. So otherwise, to turn it off, you just find this toggle and simply tap on it again and you're good to go. So with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.